SOTU, State of the Union, baby. It's Tuesday. Outnumbered coming up, Republicans voting to release that controversial memo. They say will show big surveillance abuses by the FBI and DOJ. Democrats lashing out, calling it partisan fiction. What will be the fallout when that memo goes out?
And all eyes on Capitol Hill. Just hours from now, the president gives his first State of the Union address. And Democrats, well, they're putting up five responses, whether that's a good idea or just too much noise.
All that plus somebody you know well is going to be outnumbered. Top of the hour.
I wonder who that is.
Florida school officials say they followed protocol when a 7-year-old student in Miami was handcuffed and taken off school grounds. According to an incident report, the first grader became violent, hitting and kicking his teacher after he was pulled from the school cafeteria for playing with his food. He was put in a hospital for psychiatric assessment before he was eventually discharged. Now, the boy's parents think handcuffing their son went too far. They call it police abuse. School officials say the child has been restrained once before for aggressive behavior.
So the Trump administration refusing to impose new sanctions on Russia for the Kremlin's meddling in the 2016 presidential election. As Vladimir Putin confirms the U.S. for releasing a name and shame list of Russians in his inner circle. Rich Hudson is live from the State Department in Washington with the very latest on this one. Hey, Rich.
Hey, good morning, Julie. And 210 government officials, Russians, billionaires, all part of this so-called oligarchs list. The Treasury Department late last night released this report, required in a law passed Congress last year that sanctioned individuals, or authorized that sanction of individuals in response to interference by Russians in the 2016 presidential election. The administration says this is not a list of Russians that it is targeting for additional sanctions, though some on this list already fall under U.S. sanctions. The Treasury Department says it is simply providing a list required by law of senior political figures and those close to the Kremlin and worth a lot of money. The Kremlin claims this list is attempted interference in the upcoming Russian presidential election. President Putin says those named are engaging in domestic politics and that the United States is attacking the elected president. Putin also says, quote, certainly this is an unfriendly act. It aggravates the already bad condition of Russian-U.S. relations and certainly harms international relations in general. We are not going to look for trouble or aggravate the situation. We want and will be patiently building relations to the extent the other side, the American side in this case, is ready for it. And the Trump administration also announced that it decided against enacting additional sanctions for now, as the law that passed last year does enable the U.S. administration to do. Though Steve Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary, just testifying before the Senate Banking Committee, says after the release of this so-called oligarchs list that the Treasury Department will announce additional sanctions, though he has yet to provide a timeline. Julie, back to you.
All right, Rich Hudson at the State Department. Thank you, Rich. John?
Thanks.
So President Trump will give one State of the Union address tonight. Democrats are preparing 5 rebuttal speeches. What do you think about those numbers? They'll talk about it straight ahead on Outnumbered.